Today I'm going to be showing you how to make this wonderful black cat sitting in a crescent moon. This amigurumi cat can actually be done in any color you want it to, but I happen to like black cats. I think they're pretty fantastic. And this makes a great ornament. It's very beginner friendly. You can hang this on a holiday tree. It's perfect as a Halloween decoration. Any cat lover would love to have it. Or you can simply hang it in a private location in your own workspace or in another part of your home that just simply brings you joy. It's lots of fun and full of magic. Welcome to Weaving Weird Studio and My Creative Weird Life. My name is Sig, and what a pleasure it is to have you with me at this time. It's your interest and support that allows me to contribute new content and weekly videos. Help us all grow together by tapping the subscribe bar, notification bell, and like buttons. I look forward to your comments and always value your feedback. Now let's get started. For today's video, I am using this size 2 black sock yarn. It's a cotton polyester blend. It's unbranded. I don't even remember where I got it from, but it kind of sits around and it gets used every now and again. It's not my favorite yarn in the world, but it seems to work out very well for these smaller amigurumi projects that I do. So that's a plus, that's a bonus. So you always want to make sure that the yarn you have, even if you're not thrilled with working with it, you might discover that it works very well with one type of project or another. So before you get too discouraged with it, hang on to it and continue to experiment with it. Also, for the moon that the cat sits on, I would have liked to have had a silvery or a white yarn, size 2, of course. That was a bit sparkly, that gave me the feel of a moon, but I just simply didn't have it. And I wasn't going to make a special trip to the store. Not right now, it's just not possible. And so what I did was I took this silver on silver crochet thread that I already have, and this is by Aunt Lydia. They usually sell this all year long, but you mostly see it around the holiday seasons in your hobby stores. And what I did was I simply doubled up the thread. So instead of using just one strand of thread, I doubled it up and crocheted it doubled up. And so doubled up, it's about the same width and thickness as the size 2 sock yarn. So that worked out perfectly for me. Now, if you needed to, absolutely, if you like this or you kind of find yourself in the same situation that I am in, go ahead and double up your thread. If not, if you have another thread, or I should rather say a yarn, a size 2 yarn, that you think would work better or work fine for your purposes, absolutely go with that. It's all good as long as your yarns are about the same width. So then next, for the collar, I chose to just use some scrap red yarn. Now this yarn is just your basic acrylic worsted yarn. It certainly is a thicker yarn, but because I'm just using it for the collar on my cat, I'm not too concerned about any of that because that's not going to take away or alter my piece in any way. In addition, for this piece, I'm actually using a size C or a 2.75 millimeter hook. This seems to give me the right gauge and size that I'm looking for with the size 2 yarns. And then also a tapestry needle. And of course, scissors. And of course, after going through all that, I almost forgot to tell you, you need wire. You either need some kind of craft or jewelry wire or a ring that is of the specific size that's going to work for the piece that you are making. But I'll explain more on that here in just a few minutes. So to start the cat, we're going to begin by making a chain of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now we're going to begin our first row in the second chain from the hook, and we're going to do an increase, a single crochet increase. For those of you who do not know what that is basically 2 single crochets in the same stitch. So second chain from the hook, we're going to start with our single crochet increase, which is 1 single crochet and 2 single crochets. Then I'm going to single crochet in the next stitch, and then I'm going to single crochet in the stitch after that. Now that last stitch in our row, I'm going to do a single crochet increase once again. So 1 and then 2. So row 1 should end with a total of 6 stitches. I'm going to chain 1, I'm going to turn my work, and then I'm going to begin row 2. And in row 2, I'm going to begin by making a single crochet in the same stitch. And then I'm going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches. 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to chain 1. I'm going to begin row 3, and row 3 is going to be just like row 2. I'm going to single crochet in the same stitch, and then I'm going to single crochet in the next 5 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I'm going to turn my work again. Now for row 4, I'm going to begin with decreases. So I'm going to start off by chaining 1. And then for those of you who don't know what a decrease is, I'm basically going to take the next 2 stitches and I'm going to decrease them into 1 stitch. So how I'm going to do that is I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to insert it into that same stitch. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through a loop. Then I'm going to take my hook and I'm going to insert it into the next stitch. I'm going to yarn over and I'm going to pull through another loop. So that should leave me with 3 loops on my hook. Then I'm going to yarn over and continue as if I'm doing a single crochet. And I have essentially made a single crochet. I've decreased. So instead of 2 single crochets, I've got 1 single crochet in that space. Then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to single crochet in the next stitch, and then I'm going to single crochet in the stitch after that. Now in these next 2 stitches, I want to again do a single crochet decrease. So I'm going to insert my hook, yarn over, and pull through a loop. Then I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch, and I'm going to yarn over and pull through my loop again. 3 loops on my hook. And then I'm going to yarn over, and I'm going to continue and complete my single crochet. So then I'm going to turn my work, and I'm going to chain 1. Next, at the beginning here in row 5, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to single crochet in the same stitch. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. So for row 5, I will, just like in row 4, I will end with 4 stitches. I'll turn my work, chain 1. And for row 6, I'm going to single crochet in the same stitch. And then I'm going to single crochet in the next 3 stitches. Again, giving me 4 stitches. And then I'm going to turn my work and I'm going to chain 1. And then for row 7, I'm going to single crochet in the same stitch. And then I'm going to decrease. Insert my hook once, and then insert my hook again. So I've got 3 loops on my hook, yarn over, pull through. Just completed my decrease. And then I'm going to do a single crochet in the last stitch on that row for row 7, and that's going to leave me with 3 stitches for row 7. I'm going to chain 1. And then for row 8, I'm going to single crochet increase in the same stitch. So 1 and 2. It's my first stitch. And then I'm going to single crochet in the next stitch. And then in the last stitch of row 8, I'm going to single crochet increase. Again, my first single crochet and then my second single crochet in that same stitch. And then I'm going to turn my work. I'm going to chain 1. Now for row 9, I'm going to single crochet, a single crochet in that first stitch. And then I'm going to single crochet, a single crochet in each of the next 4 stitches. So for row 8, we ended with 5 stitches, and for row 9, we will also end with 5 stitches. Row 10, or rather, I'm going to call it round 10 because we're going to begin doing a round of stitches around the outer edge of the cat's body. And so I'm going to begin that by making a chain 1. And then in that same chain here in these, just right here where I just inserted my hook, I'm going to do a single crochet increase. So basically I'm going to put 2 single crochets in that same spot. So 1 and then 2. That's actually row 10, but we began it here at the corner. So then I'm going to skip what would be row 9, and then in the outer edge of row 8, I'm going to do a single crochet increase. Next, I'm going to skip row 7, and in row 6, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a single crochet. Then I'm going to skip row 5, and in row 4, I'm going to do a single crochet increase. And then in row 3, I'm going to do a single crochet. And in row 2, I'm also going to do a single crochet. Now in row 1, I am going to go ahead and I am going to do a single crochet increase. And that brings me down here to the base of my cat, right back here to this first chain. And then in the first chain, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to do a single crochet increase. Then in the next chain, I'm going to do a single crochet. And then in the next chain after that, I'm going to do another single crochet. Then in that fourth chain, I'm going to do a single crochet increase. And that's going to bring us back around to round 1, or row 1. And in row 1, again, I'm going to do a single crochet increase. And then in row 2, I'm going to do a single crochet. And row 3, I'm going to do another single crochet. In row 4, I'm going to do a single crochet increase. Now I'm going to skip row 5, and in row 6, I'm going to do a single crochet. Then I'm going to skip row 7, and in row 8, I'm going to do a single crochet. I'm going to skip row 9, and then right here at the very top of row 9, right here into the top of this single crochet, I am going to do a single crochet increase. So now we're back here on row 10 essentially. So we started with round 10, and we had these single crochet increase, and we worked around the piece, and then now we're up here at the next corner of row 10 with another single crochet increase. Next, I'm going to single crochet a single crochet in the next 3 stitches across the top. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to join. And that's going to complete our round 10. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to turn our work, and we're going to begin row 11. We're going to do that by chaining 2. Then I'm going to half double crochet in that same stitch. Then I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to slip stitch in the next stitch. And I'm going to slip stitch again in the stitch after that. And then I'm going to slip stitch one more time in the stitch after that. Next, I'm going to chain 2. I'm going to half double crochet right back there into that same stitch. Then I'm going to chain 1, and I'm going to slip stitch my stitch into the next stitch. And at this point, we're going to go ahead and finish off. Giving us one of 2 cat bodies that we will need to create our piece. So the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to get my needle, and I'm going to sew these 2 sides together. Now, the way you want to sew them together is you want the right side of both of these cats facing outwards. And then I'm going to simply do a whip stitch here in the back loops of my cat bodies, of my cat pieces. You don't want to miss a stitch. You don't want to get sloppy. You just want to align each of the stitch with its corresponding stitch and whip stitch those back loops together. And when you come around, you're going to want to just stop short right here, so you have a little opening, because what you're going to want to do next is you're going to want to stuff your body, lightly stuff your body. So you can use anything. You can use polyfill, you can use any kind of stuffing. I'm personally just going to use some dark colored yarn scraps. I save my yarn scraps and I use them for stuffing. I use them to help make armatures and various other ways of stuffing a body is basically what I use my scraps for. So I don't get rid of them. I don't waste them. It gives me a nice stiff kind of stuffing. So anyways, in this case, the darker thread and the darker yarns will lend themselves nicely to just lightly stuffing this piece in a way that you don't see any of the stuffing through the holes in the fabric of my cap. And it gives me the desired effect. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to finish sewing this, and I'll meet you right back here. So now you can see when we have the cap finished. Nice little stuffed silhouette of a cat. Perfect for our moon. So the next thing I'm going to show you how to do is the tail. Now, to crochet the tail, you're going to want to go ahead and chain 17. 1, 2, 3, 4, 16, and 17. Then in the second chain from the hook, you're going to want to slip stitch. And then in each additional chain, you're also just going to want to slip stitch. So it would be a total of 16 slip stitches. And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to leave myself a fairly good little length of tail, because now I'm going to sew these ends into the cat body. So basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to decide where I want my tail. And I kind of like my tail just a little off center personally. Once you've finished doing that, your cat is almost finished. So now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to make the collar. And the collar is real simple. I'm using red, but you can use any color yarn or scrap yarn that you have to make the collar. And basically, again, you're going to want to leave yourself a little bit of extra tail that can easily be woven into the piece. And then you're going to want to just go ahead and chain 13 chains. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to cut a little bit of a tail for sewing. And I'm going to finish that off and just pull that yarn through. And then the long bit of yarn that I have here, I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to take my chain and I'm going to just come here on the side. That's where I'm going to basically start. I'm going to wrap my chain or my collar around the neck of my cat. I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to tack that in there. And there might be a couple of places where I run my needle through, just sort of hide it into the regular stitching, just to make sure that that collar is secure. And then I'm going to weave in my thread or my yarn. And we will be finished with the collar. Also, any extra yarn hanging off like this piece right here, I'll go ahead and weave that in as well. Now the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to create the moon, our crescent moon. So really what we want for our moon is we want to begin with a ring. Now the ring can be pretty much any ring, whether it's like a plastic ring or a metal ring that you have lying around or something that you pick up at a craft store. If you don't have a ring, fashioning a wire into the appropriate size ring is also a good plan. That also works perfectly. In fact, that's the way I do it because, well, I use wire a lot and that's what I happen to have on hand. Now, you want to keep in mind that the wire, that when you make your wire into a ring, you want it to, be big enough to comfortably fit around your cat. You don't want it too big. You don't want it too small. You want it just somewhere in the neighborhood that's going to fit around your cat. And what I discovered was that if I use this cardboard cylinder that my crochet thread usually comes on, that makes a perfect sized ring for my cat. So I've already made a ring. I had some of this thicker, softer wire lying about. It looks kind of like soldering line. It isn't, but it kind of looks like it. You can certainly use your standard wire, like jewelry wire, whether it's be 22 gauge or 16 gauge, whatever wire you happen to have lying around is going to be fine. You're going to cover it up. And so I used this cylinder as a gauge for my wire. So I just went ahead and I wrapped my wire around and I cut it and I just tied it, right? Using the thread that I'm going to use to make the moon with. Now, in this case, normally I would want to use the same size yarn that I used for the cat, which is basically a size 2. Kind of a finer sock yarn, if you like. But I didn't have a sparkly kind of silvery yarn that was a size 2 that I really wanted to use. I could have used white, I could have used a gold. There's a lot of things I could have used, but I wanted something that was a little more sparkly. So I decided to go with this silver on silver crochet thread that I have. Now this crochet thread is a size 10, so technically it comes in at about the same size as a super fine lace yarn. And so what I've done is I have basically doubled up. So in this case, instead of just using one strand of yarn, I'm using 2 strands of this crochet thread to give me approximately the same size as my size 2 sock yarn that I used to make the cap with. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. We're still using the same size hook that we have. And what I'm doing here, because I realized that depending on your needs and what you have available, your ring is going to vary in size. So I can't very well give you an exact count. But the crescent moon is simple enough that I can give you the basic stitches, and you can pretty much do what you're going to do, and it's going to work out fine. So what we're going to do is we're going to go right here. I'm going to begin where I have tied the two ends of my wire together. So I'm going to go ahead, and we're basically going to single crochet all the way around this wire, and we're going to have everything. You don't want it too crowded, but you want it to be single crocheted all the way around the ring in a nice, comfortable manner where everything just fits just perfectly and nicely together around the ring, around my ring with single crochets. And for this, we're going to be working in a spiral. And the second round, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to continue, and in the next 6 stitches I am going to make a single crochet, and then in the stitch after that I'm going to increase. I'm going to do a single crochet increase. Next I'm going to do 6 half double crochets. 1 and 6. Then I'm going to do a half double crochet increase in the next stitch. Then I'm going to do 6 double crochets. And then once I do 6 double crochets, I'm going to do a double crochet increase in the next stitch. Now this double crochet pattern, I'm going to continue that pattern for about 1/3 of the length of this diameter of the ring. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. It certainly doesn't have to be perfect, but this double crochet, or rather I should say making 6 double crochets and then a double crochet increase, 6 double crochets and then a double crochet increase. Continue to do that until you figure you've done that pattern or repeated that pattern for approximately 1/3 of the length of the diameter of your ring. So now that I feel like I've completed about 1/3 of the diameter of my ring in double crochets, I'm going to begin my half double crochet. So I'm going to half double crochet 6. Then I'm going to half double crochet increase in my next stitch. And then I'm going to continue and finish off round 2 by doing a series of 6 single crochets and then a single crochet increase, 6 single crochets and then a single crochet increase, all the way until I come back here to the beginning of round 2. So now that we've completed round 2, we're going to begin with round 3. And for round 3, we're going to start by half double crochets, or I should say double crocheting 6 times. So 1, 2, and 6. And then the next thing I'm going to do is a half double crochet increase in the next stitch. And then in the next stitch, we're going to want to do a double crochet. And then a chain 1. We're going to skip a stitch and we're going to do another double crochet. Then we're going to chain 1. Then we're going to skip a stitch and do another double crochet. And we'll do this until we have a total of 6 single chain crochets. And once we have these 6 chain 1 spaces, we're going to go ahead and we're going to make another double crochet in that same stitch. Basically, it's going to be a double crochet increase right there in that same stitch. And then we're going to do it again. Chain 1, skip a stitch, and then double crochet in the next stitch. Chain 1, skip a stitch, and double crochet in the next stitch. And we're going to continue to do that until we have 6 more single chain spaces. And then we'll add an additional double crochet in that space, or in the stitch with the last double crochet that we crocheted. And we're going to continue doing just that all the way until we hit our very first single crochet from round 2. So on my ring, my first single crochet for round 2 after the half double crochets starts here. And this is basically where I'm going to end my double crochet stitch pattern. Okay, so my pattern has ended just a little beyond my first single crochet count, and that's okay. Yours may end just a stitch or 2 before, stitch or 2 after. That's perfectly fine. This is not an exact science. So now the next thing we want to do is go ahead and do 6 half double crochets. I'm going to do a half double crochet increase. And then next I'm going to continue with the single crochets. So 6 single crochets and then a single crochet increase. 6 single crochets and then a single crochet increase until I've completed round 3. Now I have one more round to do, and basically I'm going to single crochet in each stitch around the entire moon. And when I make my way back, I'm going to finish off, but I'm going to leave myself a little bit of a lengthy tail so that I can sew the cat on. Okay, so now your piece should look something similar to this. And then these tails, or this tail, I'm going to use to sew my cat right here at the bottom center of my moon. And I will show you what that looks like here in just a moment. So now I made 2, and this is the one that I just made for the video. And you can see this was the wider or thicker wire. And with the thicker wire, the cat, once I sewed it on, it just stays all by itself. So you don't have to worry about it flopping over or anything like that. And of course, this can be hung anywhere you want to hang it. You can make it into a tree ornament or hang it into your window. It's super cute. Also, there was another difference between this and the other cat that I'm going to show you. For this one, I made the tail with just a slip stitch. So you had your 17 chain, count chain, and then I had you slip stitch 16 chains, right? So it gives you a slightly thinner tail. Now this piece that I made a little later, I followed the same exact instructions, except the wire that I used was a 22 gauge jewelry wire. So it's much thinner. It's much more bendable. The ring is a little smaller in diameter than the ring that I used of the larger wire. And then also with the tail, instead of a slip stitch, I simply crocheted a single crochet in each of the chain stitches. So you can see how the slight variations really change the look of the piece, even though the pattern was followed exactly as I had indicated. So this makes a fun and easy piece in terms of experimentation. And oh yeah, And so because the wire here is thinner, I had to take like a little bit of invisible thread and just kind of loop in some thread here to hold my cat in place so it wouldn't flop over, because it doesn't have the same surface space with the thinner wire to be able to sew that cat in place so it doesn't move without the help of a stabilizing thread right in here. But if you use an invisible thread, you can't really see it anyways, so that is an option. And I tell you these things as a way to try to show you or teach you that there are several different ways to skin a cat, and several different ways to do a thing. And when you're trying to create and you have limited supplies, or you have a limitation in time, or you come across an issue that you weren't expecting to come across, hopefully what I show you in terms of the challenges that I've run into while doing these tutorials also can help give you ideas on how to approach appropriate solutions for any of your challenges. But now's the time for me to say goodbye. So until I see all you wonderful and creative fiber artists, stay crafty, stay amazing, and above all, keep weaving your weird. Bye-bye now. Have a fantastic day.